right, howdy garden geeks. We're back with Ginny's Garden Shenanigans, and I'm here with my brother Rick again. We're still in his garden oasis because I could pretty much just live here. And we're going to be talking about how he has tried his best to defeat the deer and what he does to prepare for his winter planting. All right. So Rick, I know that the deer are a big thing. We talked about it in the last segment. They destroyed all of your hopes of having a tropical garden, which is what you really thought you'd like to have. Yeah. But you do have a little tiny corner here where you have it. So why this corner? What is it that keeps them out of this corner? Why did you choose this for your one little area that you can have some knockout roses?
Well, deer have a real good sense of their surroundings, and I've got the high fence, as you can see right here, so they know that they're trapped. They can't jump over that from a standstill. They might be able to run and jump over this high fence. And so they know that they're kind of trapped back in this area because they have to come back in from where they come from outside. And so they're just really intimidated about getting, just trial and error. They just never got back in here. So once I deduced they weren't getting in here, I said, well, this will be my little tropical garden zone.
So they just really don't like this area because they feel kind of trapped in here. Right. They'd much rather choose something else out here to eat. Yeah. And luckily, as we went over in the last segment, you've pretty much planted things that they are not their first choice of eating. And then you have a planter, a feeder, not a planter, but a feeder out front to kind of even further draw them away. Yeah. Awesome. So now I want to take a look at the Mad Scientist Laboratory over here. Okay. So let's take a look at your barn.
Sure. Welcome to the Ag Barn.
Perfect. This is where all the magic is happening, I guess before.
Such that it is, yes.
All right, so now you said that you really kind of got online and geeked out about like figuring out the planting schedule and layout of everything.
Yeah, that's one of the things I would point out to you just as a little footnote is Texas A&M, which is our local agricultural institution for our region, just has a wealth of information online. And so that's what I basically tapped into. You can have the seasonal water tables from the area. Pretty good science, and then you can calculate with their tables that they provide you how much water you may ultimately need for watering your raised garden or at grade garden, in this case a raised garden. And so I got some of their planting schedules off the website for my zone and my area about when to plant. And so you were talking about 2 phases of gardening. This first planting schedule on this table is my spring, and then this table here is the fall with what to plant, when to plant it, and so forth for the region. That was on their resource as well. And then I figured out how to calculate the area for soil and everything of the raised garden because the planter's in an odd configuration the way I designed it. So I had to have all that math where I didn't have to constantly recreate it. If I know I need to raise it 3 inches, I know how many yards I need because I've already pre-calculated all that.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah. Boy, guys, he's gotten really scientific with this. It's pretty impressive.
Even all that, you don't accomplish anything. now we're talking about dealing with pests, and that's just trial and error, you know.
Right.
But the basic science of how to lay it out and set it up, that you could do. You know?
So tell us a little bit about what you're putting in the bed. I know you've got some of your supplies here.
Yeah, so I'm about to do the spring garden. Of course, it's March right now, which is perfect timing. In fact, according to the charts, we have about a 5% chance at this point in this region for a freeze after March 5th. So I feel like it's relatively safe to go ahead and do the spring garden now. The earlier the better. And so I've been on a little recon mission to get everything I need for the planting of this season. And what I typically do is we use an Epsom salt, which provides the magnesium. I've just discovered through trial and error and some talking, with other people in the industry, that this MicroLife is an excellent organic product. It's an all-purpose fertilizer. So when I plant the plants, I put a bed of that under the plant ball itself. And then periodically, every 2 to 3 weeks, we'll put a little bit at the surface and fertilize. That'll be the fertilization schedule.
Right. Fertilizing every 2 to 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. You're using the magnesium. Mm-hmm. And then the MicroLife, you said you're putting underneath the plant ball when you're planting it?
Yes, ma'am. I'll show you that when we're doing a little planting in a moment. One of the things I was making a mistake of doing initially was just being conservative about it, because you can over-fertilize. Right. And this is organic, so it's not very highly concentrated, so you just throw it in there. And the more the merrier. So that's why I go through a big bag of it, in a growing season, just for that little raised garden here. So yeah, we'll put the MicroLife at the bottom, I'll put the magnesium in the bottom, and then plant it. And then after it starts to take in a couple of weeks, we'll come out on the surface and just lay a little bit more, a tablespoon or 2 down, on each plant every couple of weeks. Seems to really like it, really grow.
And you got to keep the dogs out of it, right?
Well, yeah, of course. If you're right. In the garden, no problem. You will see that in a minute. I can lock the garden down, but yeah, if I just use it to generally fertilize out here in the shrubs where the dog can have access, yeah, I have to get her out of it.
Well, I mean, it's organic, so you know.
Right.
All right, so now let's go out and see this amazing deer-proof contraption that you've built for your garden. Okay, so now we get to see the masterpiece, the deer-proof garden. Tell us about how this came to be.
Well, you know, again, I'm not doing all of this to save money or make money. I'm not running a business. This is a passion project. So initially I had some tubing that I did, a Quonset hut with some bird netting over this garden area at grade. And the deer were constantly figuring out how to get past it, as were the squirrels, who would take one bite of tomato and throw it on the ground. So I had to do a little research to figure out what the squirrels can and cannot do, because they're very enterprising. Anybody that's dealt with squirrels can certainly testify to. So basically I discovered that if you have a 1-inch grid mesh, they can't get their little heads through that mesh, so it will truly be proof. But it has to be a certain gauge so that they can't mallet and chew it and bend it and everything. So it was a little bit of a project finding just the right balance. So all of this is welded together, rebar for the deer, the mesh for the squirrels, and it's over the rooftop and everything, so they cannot get in there at all.
Wow, so let's get inside and see what the inside looks like.
All right.
All right, I cannot wait to get inside of this amazing, magnificent structure.
Yes, welcome to the raised garden cave.
This is really impressive.
Thank you.
It is gorgeous in here. So you've got the raised beds.
Right, out of cedar.
Okay, and the whole structure is also cedar?
All cedar.
Okay, brilliant.
And I've got a stain on it, which I have to do every couple of years to keep it new.
Yeah, but the cedar really is the hardiest wood.
For the area.
It's for the area. Okay. And tell me about these lights up here.
So I had these left over from a commercial project when I had my construction company, and they were designed to be outdoor uplights at the Capitol. For example, that's where they're used, the product is used. I knew they would last forever, and they are LED, so I just decided to go ahead and use them.
Great.
Night lights.
I love it. So in our next segment, we're going to really dig in here and geek out about everything Rick has going on in here. He's got these fabulous raised beds. We're going to talk about what is in the beds, how he's really putting in his soil composition. We're also going to talk about his irrigation, because we have 2 seasons here in Houston, and he changes out the irrigation based on what he's planting, which is based on the season. So please like and subscribe, and we will see you garden geeks on the next episode.